Hey everyone, and welcome to Your Health Truth. I'm your host, Brock Hardman. Today we're going to talk about sleep. Let's get right into it. Alrighty, now we're going to talk about why it's important to get enough sleep and what happens when you don't. Very, very important. Cannot stress to you how important it is. So, what sleep does, I'll talk about benefits first, okay? What sleep does is, it does a few things. I'm just going to go over a few of them. It basically forms a lot of learning and memory pathways. So whenever you're studying for a test or need to kind of memorize something, it's best to get as much sleep as possible, and that helps your brain basically build those pathways. And so what I used to do is cram for a test and then try to get as much sleep as possible during college, and that really helped. And so for those that don't get a lot of sleep, it's actually been scientifically proven that you don't retain as much information. So also whenever you sleep, your blood pressure drops, so it reduces your chance of things like stroke and cardiovascular problems. So that's good. And it produces a lot more growth hormones and sex hormones. So people who, especially at a younger age, the more they sleep, obviously, the more they grow. And so for people with like low libido, a lot of times it can be improved just by sleeping more because it produces more sex hormones. And the most important part, as far as I'm concerned, is the repair and immune building properties of sleep. Because basically, the only time that your body is in what's kind of known as repair mode is when you're sleeping. So that is the only time that it can repair damages and heal itself from the previous day's activities. So it's also good for building your immune system. And so people who get less sleep are obviously more apt to get sick. And that's why, because your immune system is a lot lower. And, depending on your age, it depends on how much sleep you get. So I get 8 hours of sleep. And, I'm going to encourage everyone else to get at least 8 hours of sleep. If you're younger than, let's say, 15 years old, you need more than that. And if you're older than 50, you can probably go by with 7. And as you get older and older and older, obviously you need less and less and less because you're not doing a whole lot, most people, and so you don't need as much sleep. But, especially pregnant women need a lot more sleep than regular people because, well, for obvious reasons, I have a baby inside of them. But the people who are pregnant that go without sleep, I don't know if you know pregnant women, but usually my wife's pregnant, and they're usually a lot more tired, and for good reason. Their body needs that time of sleep to repair and help, build the bridge between her and the baby, and there's a lot that goes on with that. And so there's a lot of energy expanded throughout the day and also during her sleep. So that's another reason why pregnant women need to take in more calories and so on and so forth. But what happens if you do not get enough sleep? There's a lot of things that happen. Basically it's a lot harder to focus and pay attention. I think you can all agree that if you don't get a good night's sleep, you're groggy the next day, you're more irritable, you're more easily confused. And the reason for this is because your body has not repaired itself from the previous day, and so it's constantly trying to catch up. It's an increased level of cortisol, stress hormones such as adrenaline, and there's a couple other stress hormones, but those are higher whenever you don't get as much sleep. So, just as an FYI, those people who have high levels of stress hormones have obviously been linked to heart disease and a lot of other problems, due to what those stress hormones do to your body. So, if that's not enough, being obese. Because basically whenever you're sleeping, the more you sleep, you have basically higher levels of leptin, which is basically a signal to your body saying, hey, I'm full, stop eating. And so people who are obese and people who are diabetic, you basically have a higher risk of diabetes and being obese, getting less sleep, because the hormone that tells your body, hey, I'm full, you have less of. And so that's why, I won't get into that right now, but diabetes is not how do I phrase this? So I'm not a doctor, I don't want to get scientific, but most diabetes patients can be helped by working on the leptin hormone, which tells your body you're full. That's pretty much what type 2 diabetes people have. The problem is with the hormone leptin, not necessarily with the blood sugar. The blood sugar is kind of a byproduct of improper regulation of leptin. So I won't get into that, but just know that if you get enough sleep, you don't have to worry about it. So another big problem that I've experienced personally is with regards to slow reaction times. Now, whenever you're driving and you're extremely tired to the point where you're dozing off, you are much more dangerous than someone who is drunk, because if you've ever driven tired, you know what I'm talking about, and if you don't, then I wouldn't suggest it. It's scary. A lot of people have killed themselves because they didn't even know that they were falling asleep, and next thing you know, they run off the road. And I've personally had an experience like that, and so coming home from college, but it's scary and it's dangerous. So don't drive sleep deprived, because it's a lot more dangerous than people think. And so, that kind of wraps it up. Won't get extremely detailed. I don't really, I guess, need to. I think that, most people understand that getting a good night's sleep is important, but a lot of people don't know just how important. And, whenever I'm trying to help people get healthy and help them, avoid disease, which is what my site's about, I mean, the number one thing is sleep. Because I don't care how many supplements you buy that I suggest, I don't care how good you eat, how good your diet is, and how much you exercise. None of these matter if you don't get enough sleep. So hopefully you understand now why getting 8 hours of sleep is extremely important. So next time you go to bed, make sure you get 8 hours of sleep and make it consistent, and you will feel better. Thank you.